Boxes to bills, number 3. We are on a roll for a lot of repairs all of a sudden. It is reshafting a Ping i3 fairway wood. 3 and a 5. We're going to talk about what's special about this. Well, welcome back to the McGolf Shop. Jim McCleary here, and this is the McGolf channel where we talk about golf club reviews, golf club repairs, and golf club fittings. Also, your scores can go low. If you would, like, subscribe, hit those bells, icons, thumbs up, all that stuff across the bottom. That way, more of the information on this channel gets out to the YouTube universe. Also, we have a live stream that we do on Mondays, 17:30, 5:30 p.m., and it's called What's in My Drawers Golf Talk. It's what's in the drawers here, Golf Talk. And it's about the same stuff, only it's live. Folks from around the world ask questions, and we talk back and forth. It's a good time. Join us if you can. All right, so Ping was renowned for the i2. Then came out the i3, amongst some others before, and those are irons. Well, then they started making some woods. And if you remember the woods, all right, the woods, let's see if we can make this happen. Let's do it like this. All right, so this is the Ping i3 fairway wood. This is a 3 wood. And they made the driver. The driver looked like a big, ginormous, like you could grill a pancake on it. It was so big and flat. And the thing with them is they had special ferrules that went in there. And you could do things with these ferrules if you knew what you're doing. And it's a ferrule that looks like that. Hopefully you can get that. And what it does, and we'll talk about more about this once I get them cleaned up, is that they'll fit in here, and you could shape these and change these ever so slightly. It's called clocking, and I don't know too many people really do that anymore or even know how to do it anymore, but what we're talking about is we got one with the head pulled, but there's some nasty garbage in the bottom of this guy that we got to take out. Then we just happen to have one with a steel shaft in it, and it's going too. And what are we going to put in it? We are putting in some hazardous yellow. All right, hazardous yellow. And these are going to Massachusetts. Okay, and Massachusetts. So we got to clean this up, take that apart. The golfer has given us instructions about where the logo's to go, so no flowing and spining. And we're going to cut them so that they're frequency matched. And then we're going to cut them to the length that was prescribed. And then we're going to put the grips on. And so we're going to talk about that repair. So let's go to the bench and talk about this one first. All right, so the biggest thing is we got there's a bunch of stuff. The bottom of looks like the bottom of the original ferrule / adapter broke off in the bottom of the head. And there's a lot of, it looks copperish. I don't know if you guys will be able to see it or not, but it looks copperish around the inside. That was probably residual from the glue. Now, the area of this paint is soft. So you have to be very, very careful about how you apply the heat. And again, that's the reason why we're going to use the Burns-O-Matic. So I've got plenty of tools here that we've got to use. So we're going to need a drill. And if the drill with several bits doesn't clean it all up, I have a secret weapon that we'll talk about. And that's to clean this up. And then we'll go to the next one. So let's make some heat. So I got plenty of heat in here, I know, because it started smoking. So now I'm going to have to drill into this. And I got quite a bit of it out. All right, so I got a lot out of there, and you can see that there's some stuff in there that's still in there. Now, what causes the problem is that there's angles. It's a round with a flat, and you got to get into these corners. And so what takes this is a little more heat and a little smaller drill bit, and we're going to try that again. All right, so now I'm going to put this one on the bench. I'm going to try and drill through it, or drill down and get all of it, clearing it all out the easy way. Hey, not bad. Oh, there's some. So this thing has several angles on it, so to just work from this side would be a mistake. So you want to look at different ones, just like I just did. Found we need to remove a little bit right here. All right, I had to take a short detour on doing this work for some fittings and well, some dinner. And all right, so we got this all cleaned out. The little bitty, see all that, how it's nice and silver? It was all brown and full of junk. And with a little bit of heat, a 3/8 inch drill wobbling it around, then a smaller drill to get into the crevices, and that took out most of it, then a wire brush to clean up into the grooves and whatnot, have made this thing very, very clean. And then we polished it up to make sure we didn't make any scratches. Of course we did not. And so this one's ready to go. Now, we have the other one. The other one is the 5 wood, and it has steel shaft in it. It also has the original adapter piece, and we'll talk about that here in a minute. However, we got to prep it. Alright, so we had to take the grip off in order to use the adapter piece. So all we need to do is we got this adapter piece, slides over this, and it'll go on to here. And if you see how that's at an angle and it fits really, really nice, if you turn it, it doesn't seat very well, and that's not very good. We want a good touching area. Now, let's talk about this ferrule. If you look at it, that's the original ferrule. Very, very long. Now, if this is a graphite shaft, I said that'd be pretty cool. However, it's steel, and I imagine it has an RU5 on the side. The RU5 has a designator, and it's been so long since we've done this, I don't even remember what it means. But what we're doing is we're going to replace it, and it's going to look like that. So there's going to be a marked difference in the way that it looks, but a little more modern, right? So the objective here is to heat up that head. We're going to heat it up here, we're going to heat it up here, we're going to heat it up here, and we're going to heat it up here. Also that we can take it apart so that when it gets done, it fits in there like that. Okay? So, and then we're going to use the shaft puller to pull it out. The idea here is, and if we're lucky, this piece will pull out of the head without too much cleanup. The other thing that can happen, and has happened to me in the past, is that the shaft just pulls clean out. And if the shaft pulls just clean out, we might have to consider a different way of doing something. So, let's figure this out. Again, with the Burnzomatic, let's get started. All right, let's put this on here and see if we can't pull it off. Right off, and it came out that way. Nice. Except for I lost the head, but hey, let's go find it. All right, we're in pretty good shape. Well, that's a bit scary when the head pops off that easy. didn't even see it move. And so what we end up with is that, and you see how it's dark in there. That's the part we got to make silver. The rest of the club, even after falling, that's the reason why I have these sponges. Other than I like standing on it. It turned out pretty good. So we got to clean this thing out. Okay, there was some added glue or something on the bottom of which we're going to take out. So we're going to make this thing all silver. So get a little bit more heat in here. All right, now let's get some on there. Well, like this wire brush. Got to get a little bit in the corner and then we're done. Yeah, we did it. So, remember when it was all black and inside? Now look, silver. That means you got to all the bottom of it. Now the real trick of the matter is, will that fit? Let's find out. It's a little bit deep. See how there's a little edge in there? So we're going to have to figure out what's in there that's causing us heartache. There might be something right there. Let's find out about that. And maybe something right about there. So we're going to give this a little bit more heat. We're going to clean it out. And the idea is we need it to seat all the way into the bottom, because if it doesn't, it's not going to hold. Now, as a pro tip, that when you get in here and you're drilling really, really fast, there's not a whole lot to work with. If you look at the depth of this thing, it's only like that deep. You come pulling up out of here and you hit and you go back down in there and you miss, you've just marred the whole paint. So when you work in something like this, you want to make sure that you're forcing yourself into the bottom and staying there, right? This whole going in and out, if you do, you only go a little bit, because if you pull out and you mess up and your natural reaction is going to be wanting to get back in there, you have a real opportunity of marring this, okay? And that's not what we want. So give me a few more minutes here and we'll clean this bad boy up. All right, so I got her cleaned up a little bit more. And there was just a little bit of junk on the bottom. It's still sticking up a little bit more, but we're going to take care of that with sanding. Now, the thing that I was telling you about is, what's my secret weapon if that didn't work? It's this. It's a Dremel tool. Now, the Dremel tool has several different bits. And you want the things that have the small sections in them, or small tips, so you can get into small areas. One of my favorites is this guy, and you can tell I've used it quite a bit because of the shape it's taken on. And that gets into the crevices. Another one that I really like is this guy, and it's a sanding stone, and that thing gets right down into the corners and all the way around using this. Now the cool part about it is you really don't have to use a massively high speed because of its aggressiveness. You know, it goes up to a 5, I believe. Yeah, it goes up to a 5, so running around a 3 will do it just fine. And you get in there and it will take it out. And again, the same thing as we talked about. You want to make sure you're staying in there and working that thing around. All right, so I got it out. So let's make some club heads. Let me put this one away first. All right, finally got it all cleaned out. Now what it turned out was the ferrule wasn't exactly, and that happens when you have these plastic things, wasn't very good. So I had to shave it down a little bit in order to get to fill in. Turns out I actually have about 6 of these things in my collection. That's why it's called What's in My Drawers for What's in My Drawers Golf Talk, because we have these older kind of things. So, all right, so what we had to do is, from the golfer, they want logo down. So we have the hazardous yellows, and they're 6.5, so they're very stout. I've already trimmed them, one for the 3-wood, one for the 5-wood, and now we've prepped the tips so that they'll go in, and now it's a matter of assembling them. Now what we're going to do, we really want to avoid the temptation of putting the ferrule in first. And we want to put the ferrules on top of this and then stick them in so that we have the right alignment and we can set them and let them glue. So let's get that done. So we get the glue. I'm using the 3M 420 DP. And it's the stuff made for golf clubs. If I needed something faster, I'd probably use the 810. Quick, and but this has a higher shear point, and since we have 2 bonding areas, it makes more sense to use this. All right, longest one for the 3-wood. Make sure I got the 3-wood, and now I got the ferrule. Now I was asked whether or not centering beads were a must-have. The answer is no, it's not. But centering beads are exactly what they sound like, is little bitty micro centerings so that you're inside the center of this guy. Also helps take up some room in case you have a kind of a sloppy fit. We don't like leaning on that to happen, but that's kind of where it goes. So let's make this happen here, and we'll throw just a little bit of glue in here. And we have I put the flat right where my thumb is at. That way I can line up the yellow logo. Make sure it's in. There we go. You'll wipe this part off. So we're not fighting. You only want to fight one front at a time. And if you can get this done first, it makes life a whole lot easier. All right, that's cleaned up. Now, we just want to put the glue on this area, and it's been roughed up because if it goes over, because it's going to try and spill over, and that's not what we want. We want this guy. There we go, just enough in there. And this will probably go in 2 or 3 times to spread it around. We've checked to make sure. There's missing just a little bit right about here. There we go. I'm going to put some on the bottom too. There we go. We look like we've done a pretty good job there. Get it spun around. There we go. Looks like it's lined up. Now the next bit of cleanup is the stuff that came out on top. This is probably the single most important part because that epoxy will leave a whole bunch of smudges and it looks really, really bad if you don't get it wiped off now. Because if you want to have to take it off later, you got to use acetone, and acetone likes eating paint, as we all know. And we don't want to eat the paint because this is actually a pretty nice paint job on this thing. So we take extra special time to make sure it's all cleaned off, and then make sure it's wiped off nice and clean so it looks right. There, we got her. A little piece of tape so nothing comes flying out. And on we go. All right, on to the next one. Get a little glue on that. A little glue in here. All right. Something a little bit difficult. There we go. And a lot of glue came out in that one. Take that out. There we go. Now we just got to make sure that the logo's there. I'm going to need to use my vise. That is what you call one tight fit, but we got her figured out. And that's a good thing that it was a tight fit too. All right, let's put this in here. Now this one, as we saw before, wanted to stick out a little bit more. And sometimes that happens. We don't like it, obviously. And sometimes it just needs, just like this, needed a little bit more influence to get into the club. There we go. Now in this particular case, aha. So did you hear the sound change? That means we drove it in a little deeper. Now clean it up. A lot of stuff coming out of this one, which means we got a really good fit. Not bad. I'm going to try one more pound. Not bad. I just really don't like any excess stuff right here. If I can wipe it out now, I'll be just better off in the end. All right, so that's putting it together, and it's just a matter of letting it dry and cut it to length, and we're going to put the grips on. So once we get to that part, we'll talk about it and we'll show you how it turned out. Biggest things we really have to worry about is making sure you have a good initial fit. Now the second one, the first one went fine. The second one had about this much sticking out, and that's far too much. There are other occasions where a little bit will, and that's okay, but that was too much. So you have to do one of two things. You got to make sure that the socket where you're going to put this adapter is very, very clean. We did that twice. Twice. The other one is that you sometimes that ferrule is just kind of out of shape and you need to reshape it. And that's what you use the belt sander for. And then we get to fit in there. And then sometimes it just needs a little mechanical agitation in order to make it fit. And now we've got it. And so we went from this far to about like that. That's acceptable in my eyes. In order to get, because we got to get it seated, we got to get it all the way in. Now we know they're in tight in both the ferrules. It's getting into the head is the problematic part. And just like gluing a shaft into a club head, you got to make sure you got glue 360 on this thing in order for it to bond and be very, very strong. That's what we've done. So we're going to let it glue. We're going to put them together. And we'll show you what they look like when they're done. Well, I got the glue dry and it's ready to rock and roll. So all you have to do is cut and grip these things and do a little measurement. All right, so the grips went on. They were the Golf Pride 360s, which is a fairly easy install. There's really no alignment markers except for the butt cap has some notes on it, so I like to keep it level like that. Did some measuring, and they were exactly where they were needed to be. As far as loft angles, the lie angles, I'm assuming that they are correct. It's been a while, but they were in line. Okay, they were in line. And I think they turned out pretty good. You know, the shorter hosel gives it more of a modern feel, right? It gives it a modern feel. The club heads are in pretty good shape, except for one has got a big old toe mark on it, and the golfer has covered it up with some sort of paint or even a Sharpie of some variety. And it's not too distracting. The bottoms of these things look pretty doggone good, right? They are nothing if not pretty decent. The tops are really, really nice as far as that goes. And we can go from there. Actually, and the shafts in them look really, really good because it's not disturbing with the yellow on the bottom. And it's a pretty good setup. So, again, to review on this, when you're taking these things apart, you need a special tool to pull that piece out so that you don't mar or scratch the head. Now, you could pull the shaft out, I guess, and pull it out physically, and then you spend a lot of extra time cleaning up after yourself. And getting into that, you need to clean that area out, just like cleaning a hosel. It needs to be nice and clear, no junk in it, and it has to be ready to go to receive the new adapter. Now, the new adapter needs to be roughed up just ever so slightly so the glue will hold on to it. Same thing on the inside, and then braid the tip, glue it all together, get it where you want, and let it set. And that's what we did. You put you put the glue on it, and then that way it's ready to go. And so hopefully the golfer is going to like it in Massachusetts, right? Massachusetts, that's awesome. So if you have any more questions about repairs like this or something in the way of golf club reviews or whatnot, put them in the show notes below and we'll try and answer as best we can. If you want a more direct answer, find us on Mondays at 17:30 or 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And we will talk about the same stuff, only it's really, really quick right up here. And it's What's in My Drawers Golf Talk. And as always, let's see your scores. Go low.
He's about as good as I am.
Meaning not very?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, let's level this bad boy up a little bit. There we go. All right.
Sorry.
No, you're not.
Shipping and receiving, man.
Then ship and receive over there.
I'm out of here.